Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Bison Tech. I hope you're all doing well. Today, I want to talk to you about something that can truly change your life. Let's begin the story.
Lydia was a bright and ambitious 15-year-old, known for her intelligence and love for learning. Living with her supportive parents and lively younger brother, she navigated her school days with dreams of the future. However, everything took a sudden turn one evening during a family dinner that would change the course of her life. It started as a typical day, sunlight streaming through her room window as Lydia immersed herself in her homework. School had always been her sanctuary, a place where she could sharpen her mind and pursue knowledge. She was excited about the upcoming science fair. Her project was innovative, and her teachers had already praised her ideas. But that evening, just as the family sat down for dinner, the air grew thick with tension. Their relatives had arrived unexpectedly, bearing news that made Lydia's heart plummet. As they sat around the dinner table, her mother exchanged glances with her father, a sign of something unspoken. The moment they broached the topic of a marriage proposal for her brother, anger flashed across her brother's face. When Lydia heard her name mentioned in relation to marriage, disbelief filled her. "What? No!" she exclaimed, her voice trembling with a mix of shock and anger. She thought they must have made a mistake. They couldn't possibly mean her. She was just a girl with dreams of attending a prestigious high school and becoming someone remarkable. Her brother, always protective of her, stood up and shouted, "This is ridiculous. She's still in school." Lydia could feel tears welling up in her eyes as she thought about the implications of such a decision. It wasn't fair, she didn't even get a say in it. They were planning her life without even asking what she wanted. Later that night, after the relatives left, Lydia's parents sat her down. "Your future is important to us, Lydia," her mother said softly, but the resolve in her voice was unmistakable. "This is a good opportunity for you, and we think you should consider it." "No. I don't want to get married," Lydia cried, the tears cascading down her cheeks now. "I want to finish school and go to college. I want to explore the world." The conversation grew heated, but inside, Lydia felt a storm brewing, a whirlwind of emotions that pushed her to challenge the path being set for her. Her parents exchanged worried glances. They were torn between tradition and their daughter's aspirations. Eventually, they came to a reluctant agreement. Lydia would have time to think, but pressure loomed over her. The idea of marriage felt like chains anchoring her down, keeping her away from her dreams. As the days turned into weeks, Lydia grappled with her situation. During the quiet moments, she jotted down her thoughts in a notebook. "I want to study, travel, and be free." She confided in her brother, who assured her he would stand by her side. Together, they began devising a plan to express their feelings clearly to their parents. Lydia realized that they might not have the power to change everything, but they could certainly try. A small flame of hope sparked within her. Perhaps, together, they could navigate this storm and find a way to honor family values while staying true to their individual paths. Her journey had just begun, and she was determined to fight for her dreams. Lydia sat on the edge of her bed, her heart racing as she replayed the events of the past few days. Just yesterday, she and her brother had hatched a plan to escape their small town, a place that had long felt stifling and oppressive. Together, they envisioned a life of freedom, one where they could carve their own paths away from their family's expectations. But fate had a different plan. Her brother, always the brave one, had whispered the details of their plan late one night. They hadn't realized their father was listening from the hallway, its shadows stretching ominously as he stood rigid, his expression unreadable. The next day, their father pulled her aside, his voice wavering with an authority that sent shivers down her spine. "Don't go to school today," he commanded. "Why?" Lydia's voice trembled. She could feel tears brimming in her eyes, threatening to spill over. "I heard your brother's plan last night," he said quietly, his face contorted with an emotion she couldn't quite place. Anger? Disappointment? Concern? "You'll just get yourself into more trouble. You need to stay here." Lydia felt the weight of despair settle on her shoulders. The dream of leaving evaporated instantly, replaced by a crushing reality. Her brother, who had seemed so strong and fearless, looked equally shattered. His punishment came soon after he was confined to his room. The same walls that had echoed their laughter now stood as barriers to their freedom. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Lydia locked herself away, the world outside becoming a distant memory. The only sounds she heard were whispers of her family discussing the impending wedding, a ceremony that felt entirely divorced from her own hopes and dreams. On the day of her wedding, she donned the traditional gown her mother had chosen, the fabric heavy with expectation. She caught her reflection in the mirror, and the girl staring back felt like a stranger. As she arrived at the venue, a flurry of guests swirled around her, their laughter and chatter a stark contrast to the turmoil in her heart. She walked down the aisle, her body moving on autopilot, but her mind raced with memories of dreams unfulfilled. When she reached the altar, she looked up at her groom and the air left her lungs. The man standing before her was old, far beyond the age she had imagined marrying anyone. He wore a smile that seemed to mock her innocence, and she felt the tears welling up again. Unable to contain herself, she cried out, "Mom, why?" Her mother, standing nearby in all her finery, looked at her with a mixture of sympathy and resignation. "I'm sorry, my daughter. He's a wealthy man, and he paid off our home loan. That's why we agreed to this marriage," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Lydia felt her heart shatter into pieces as she grappled with the overwhelming weight of her reality. A wedding meant to symbolize love and unity had instead become a prison of expectations and sacrifice. She stood there, tears streaming down her face, feeling all the dreams and hopes she once had slip away like sand through her fingers. The ceremony proceeded around her, but all she could think about was the life that had been taken from her. In the quiet hush of the night, Lydia slipped away from her home, her heart pounding with anticipation. She was heading to the groom's house, a place she had only heard about in whispers, a beautifully adorned residence that sparkled under the moonlight. As she approached the grand entrance, she marveled at the intricate designs that decorated the facade. It felt like stepping into a fairy tale. Entering the house, she was greeted by an overwhelming sense of opulence. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting glimmers that danced across the polished marble floor. The air was fragrant with the scent of blooming jasmine, and there was a faint hum of music in the background, setting a magical tone for the evening. As she wandered through the extravagant space, her excitement mingled with a sense of apprehension. However, as the night wore on, Lydia felt herself drawn to the allure of freedom beyond the confines of that exquisite home. When the opportunity presented itself, she excused herself and slipped into the bathroom. In that moment, something inside her snapped. She realized she needed to escape. She bolted out of the bathroom, her heart racing as she dashed out of the grand house and into the night. Once outside, the cool air enveloped her like an embrace, invigorating her senses. She ran down the dimly lit street, the sound of her footsteps echoing in the stillness. She had no particular destination in mind. Her only thought was to put distance between herself and the groom, whose charm now felt suffocating. Lydia soon found herself on a winding road that led to the nearest town. It was there, after what felt like hours of running, that she came across a roadside bus stop. Her heart sank when she realized she had no money for fare, but she approached the driver with hope. "Please, can you give me a ride?" she asked, desperation tinting her voice. The driver looked her over thoughtfully, and after a long moment of silence, he nodded. "I can take you, but it's going to be a long haul, 2 days until we reach the city," he replied. With a grateful smile, Lydia climbed aboard. The bus was filled with people from all walks of life, each with their own stories and dreams. She found a window seat and gazed out at the passing landscapes, feeling a thrill of exhilaration. The trees, the fields, the distant hills blended into a beautiful tapestry that hinted at the adventures that awaited her in the big city. As the miles rolled by, Lydia felt a sense of newfound freedom washing over her. She was no longer just a character in someone else's story, she was the author of her own life. The journey was just beginning, and with it came the promise of experiences beyond her imagination. Lydia's journey was far from over. As she embraced her new life, she often found herself reflecting on the choices she had made and the new path she was forging. Every morning, she would step into the hotel, greeted by the familiar scent of fresh coffee and the soft hum of conversation, feeling a sense of belonging. One evening, while folding linens in the staff room, she overheard a discussion about a local community college offering scholarships for students. Lydia's heart raced at the thought of taking the next step in her education. With newfound determination, she began to research the programs available, exploring fields that ignited her passion. As she gathered information, a spark of inspiration lit up within her. She recalled the vivid dreams she had once held close, dreaming of becoming a writer. Writing had always been her escape, her way of capturing the world and her thoughts. Excited, she decided to apply for the scholarship, pouring her heart into the application. Days turned into weeks, and while she worked diligently at the hotel, she found solace in writing during her breaks. Her small notebook soon filled with stories, poems, and reflections about her life. Writing became a fulfilling outlet, helping her heal from past wounds and better understand herself. Then came the day when an email from the college popped up in her inbox. With bated breath, she opened it and started reading. Her heart raced as she realized she had been awarded the scholarship. Tears of joy streamed down her cheeks. Her dream was becoming real. The next few months were a whirlwind of excitement and hard work. Balancing her job, studies, and writing was challenging, but Lydia thrived on the chaos. She met peers who shared her passion for storytelling, and they spent late nights discussing their aspirations and dreams. As her confidence grew, she joined the college's writing club, where she had the chance to share her work publicly. She read her stories aloud, feeling the warmth of encouragement from her fellow writers. With each story shared, she felt lighter, shedding the weight of her past. One fateful night, as she sat with her friends under a starlit sky, Lydia realized how far she had come. From a heartbroken woman wandering through a jewelry shop to a passionate student and budding writer, she was embracing all the colors of her life. Her dreams were no longer buried under gray clouds. They soared like kites dancing in the breeze. As the seasons changed, so did Lydia. With her diploma in hand and a degree on the horizon, she stepped confidently into her bright future, ready to write the next chapter of her life, one filled with hope, resilience, and endless possibilities. And so, Lydia's story continues, a testament to the power of dreams and the journey of self-discovery. Every page she writes brings her closer to finding her true self, navigating the path ahead with courage and grace. Lydia was a young woman with a heart full of dreams and a fierce determination to make the world a better place. After 7 years of hard work and dedication, she proudly graduated from law school, ready to take a stand for justice in her country. Lydia had faced many challenges in her life, but none was as personal as her desire to change the laws around marriage and education. With her newfound knowledge and passion for helping others, Lydia introduced a groundbreaking law that prohibited marriage before the age of 18. This was a bold move, especially in her community, where many young girls were forced into early marriages. To make this law effective, she also stipulated that if any parents broke this rule, they would face severe consequences, potentially spending many years in prison. It was a significant step towards protecting the rights of children, particularly girls, and ensuring that every girl received the same education opportunities as boys. Months passed, and the law began to change lives. Girls who once saw little hope for their futures now had the chance to learn, grow, and choose their own paths. Lydia felt a sense of fulfillment as she watched the young women in her community blossom, empowered by their education. Despite her success, Lydia felt a deep longing to return to her hometown and reconnect with her family. The journey home was bittersweet. She was excited but also anxious about what she might find. When she finally arrived, she was greeted warmly by her family. They embraced her, but their eyes held a sadness that puzzled her. "Why are you sad?" she asked, her voice trembling. Her parents looked at each other, a silent conversation passing between them, before her mother spoke up. "We are sorry for what happened to your brother, dear." Confused, Lydia pressed them for details. Her heart raced when they revealed that her beloved brother had been killed by a wealthy man from their town. The news crashed over her like a wave, and she felt as if she had lost a part of herself. Tears streamed down her cheeks as the weight of her family's sorrow became too much to bear. With a heavy heart, Lydia made her way to her brother's grave. Standing there, she wept openly. "I miss you so much," she cried, feeling the sharp pangs of grief. "I wish you could see what I have accomplished. I'm sorry for everything. If I could have saved you, I would have." In that moment, she promised herself that she would fight even harder for justice, not just for girls, but for everyone oppressed by the wealthy and powerful. Lydia returned to her family, her pain transforming into a fierce determination to honor her brother's memory. United as a family, they began to heal, and Lydia continued her work, knowing that her brother would always guide her from beyond. With renewed strength, she faced the future with hope, ready to make a difference in her community and beyond.
I hope you enjoyed the video. That's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe my YouTube channel.